All right, guys. Michigan's defense ranks 35th in the country in yardage allowed this season. We knew it would be taking some time with all the players going to the NFL to kind of get this thing right, but they look bad on Saturday night. They don't look like they're improving. That's the big flag for me. What is wrong with Michigan's defense?
They're not playing physical. This needs to be one of the most violent defenses. And while they're playing against Central or New Mexico or even Wisconsin, like they're playing a violent style, but then they show up or don't show up against USC. That, to me, is the biggest reason. The physicality wasn't there. They got pushed around. And the second thing is, you look at what they did last year in regards to it really started to come on second half of the Indiana game, and then Northwestern, Maryland, Ohio State. The defense played really well because they bought into being able to play their 111th, understanding how they fit into the defense. Right now, they're not buying into Wink's scheme. And it's if you're going to do your own thing, defense isn't going to be productive.
Yeah, it's hard to put it on any one thing, so I think physicality is a good all-encompasser. I'd also point out that they've given up some early drive touchdowns. Oklahoma,
Opening
USC,
drive.
even Wisconsin, and I know the defense settled in, but when you're starting from behind, when you're playing catch-up, it's also a young defense, too. There's just a lot going on there.
All right, Michigan State's coming off what I would say is the worst loss under Jonathan Smith. And a lot of that has to do with the opponent, and it was at home. Is there any way Smith can salvage his career at MSU?
Yeah, I think you're even underselling it. They gave up 38 consecutive points to a team that had already fired its coach, OC, and DC. And you had players on UCLA openly calling out quit factor. Boy, if you're quitting on a coach, you're a dead man walking. Now, I'll play along. Salvage your career. Beat Michigan, make a bowl game this year. And then he keeps his job.
Yeah, and so beat Michigan and win 4 of the last 6, so you end up with 7 wins. I even think it needs to be that one above just simply making a bowl game. Now they've got Indiana this weekend, so all right, I'll say 4 of the last 5. When you're playing some of those teams, will they be big wins for them? Yeah, but there's no team that I don't think they should not be able to beat.
Do you guys think that'll happen?
No.
That's the sad thing. It's just it doesn't seem like there's a way that it can really turn around. There are ways, but can those ways happen? I just don't see it happening. All right. But there have been false flags in college football. Maybe there's been some false flags on MSU, and they do turn it around. Week 1 in college football can be littered with false flags. Was Florida State beating Alabama in Week 1 the biggest false flag of the 2025 college football season?
Yes, but I'll give you another one. And it's hard to say because of the team that they were playing, but Penn State beating Nevada. All right, they won, and they look the part, but then Oregon, UCLA, it completely has fallen apart. So I think maybe they were one of the biggest frauds at the start of the season that we didn't know was a fraud at the time.
I have 2 answers.
That's the definition of a fraud.
Right. 2 answers. One that's more of a projection. First, MSU Boston College. Clearly, MSU didn't turn a corner. As significant as that win felt at the time, it's clearly not a big indicator that MSU had figured anything out. The other one is this week. Keep an eye on Georgia Tech. Their win over Clemson has not aged well. They're underdogs at Duke this week. So that may have been a liar, what they did against Clemson. They do not have a marquee win.
How about this one to be a little juicy? Oregon winning at Penn State. Really doesn't look that great all of a sudden, does it?
And then they lose to Indiana at home by double digits.
And that is impressive what Indiana did last week.
I thought we were just talking about Week 1 frauds.
Oh, no. Sorry. I could have worded that better.
That's okay.
In your defense. All right, James Franklin was fired after losing to Northwestern. Give me your top 3 coaching candidates for the Nittany Lions.
The first that everyone's talking about is Kirk Cignetti. He's a Pittsburgh guy. Could he get more money, not just for himself, but his players and coaches at Penn State? That would be the draw, although he could just steal all their recruits and do it at Indiana. I mean, he certainly is.
Could stay the king of Bloomington.
Exactly. So if not Cignetti, Manny Diaz is the head coach at Duke, former defensive coordinator for Penn State.
Yeah, but did they get it done when he was there?
They did not. And how about a third name? Little wild card. Pat Fitzgerald.
That's my number 1. Pat Fitzgerald. Now that everything is settled down there and
Can I say something about him? Can that university make that hire when there was a little bit of a controversy with Fitzgerald and Northwestern because of the past of Penn State?
Yeah, because I think the character of Pat Fitzgerald is greater than, and they found out he had no idea. All right, so you learn from some things, and okay, maybe he needs to be a little bit more tuned into his players and find a way to do that, but no one is questioning his character or that he was involved in that. So I think Pat Fitzgerald would be actually a scary hire there and what it would mean for the Big Ten. We saw what he did at Northwestern, and you give him more resources. He's a tremendous coach. Matt Rule, as you know, we've heard and talked about.
So I left him out because he is James Franklin, the guy that can't win the big game. Hey, let's hire the guy who's 2-20 in big games at Nebraska in his career.
So I'm going to give you two other names that I think would be really intriguing. Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien was there. He's the one that brought them out of the hole they were in after Jerry Sandusky. Everybody wants to credit James Franklin. Well, when Bill O'Brien arrived there, they were only allowed to have like 45 guys on scholarship. He's the one that saved that program, and I know he loved it there. I've talked to him at length about his time there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. The other one, we saw him win a national championship as an OC, and in college he was dynamic. In the pros, he's been pretty good. That's Joe Brady. Oh. Former LSU OC, now the OC with the Bills. I think he fits better in college.
He's going to get an NFL head coaching gig.
He might, but he's also young and very energetic, and that's what it takes to be a college coach.
All right, I think we're all satisfied that the Lions are 4-2 considering how the schedule looked before the season. However, they're not in first place in their division. Green Bay is at 3-1-1, and the Vikings and Bears are 3-2. Is the NFC North becoming a problem for the Lions?
Well, I wouldn't say it's becoming a problem. I actually think it's a great opportunity because you're going to play those teams and they're going to force you to play good. They're going to force you to be good. They're going to force you to get better so that when you get to the end of the season, you're more prepared for the playoffs. So is it a problem? Yeah, it's a problem in regards to it's just more competitive, but no, I think it's awesome. I think it's a great opportunity.
No more of a problem than it was last year when this division got 3 playoff teams, including Green Bay at 11 wins and Minnesota at 14 wins. Bring it on.
All right, Jackson Smith-Njigba leads the NFL with 696 receiving yards. Is JSN the most underrated player in the league? And if not, who is?
He is. 13 big plays, leads all receivers, second most first downs in the NFL. It's Jackson Smith-Njigba.
It's him. And part of it is because he's in Seattle. No one this side of the Mississippi really cares about what happens in Seattle. The other one would be his teammate, Sam Darnold. They throw the ball the least, yet he's third in the NFL in passing yards. And with the receiver like JSN, what he did last year, and I know it was discredited at the end of the season because he couldn't win against the Lions, he couldn't win in the playoffs, but I think he's the other guy that is just underappreciated.
I think Smith-Njigba, like, if you look at the box scores the last couple of weeks, he's doing what he did at Ohio State. They're monstrous with tons of receptions and over $150. It's like
great route runner.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, first team Pro Bowler potentially right now. Who would have said that before the season?
Right.
All right, Bucs and Colts are both 5-1. They're the only 5-1 teams in the NFL. Which team has a better chance to make the Super Bowl out of these two?
I think it's Tampa, and I think it's Tampa because once they get healthy at receiver. Look out. Defense, they're not the same Tampa defense, at least at this point, that I think we've been accustomed to, a very dominant defense, but I think they will continue to get better and maybe by the end of the season.
Yeah, I didn't even hesitate here.
Yeah,
I got a quarterback I trust more. When healthy, the playmakers are better. Even the defense, I think there's more difference makers on Tampa's defense individually. The Vita Veas of the world, the Antoine Winfields. I went Tampa, and I think there's a shot they get the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Well, the state of the AFC is the argument for the Colts. Like I think that's one of the biggest stories this year so far. Is just how the AFC's garbage right now, and maybe we're all being fools not buying into the Steelers.
You know what? I mean, Cookies and I had this argument about Aaron Rodgers, and I'm reserved. I always said I thought they were going to make the playoffs. I thought they'd be okay. Aaron Rodgers wasn't done, but I'm just not buying into that. They're a winning playoff team.
I still don't even know they're winning their division. And I know I'm on an island there.
Yeah, you are.
And I'll probably die on another one of these stupid
When are you
hills.
going to bury the Ravens? It'd probably take week 18. They could be like 2-15 or 2-14.
Yeah.
All right.
Lamar's supposed to be back out of the bye. We'll keep an eye on it. Thursday touchdown, 97-1.